You're listening to League Podcast. The League versus, I guess. I don't know what we're going to call this.
We would usually call this like a special edition.
Yeah, this is a special edition summer blockbuster episode. I'm Matt Dursin.
Clay Inferno here.
Welcome back, Clay. It's been a while since we did a pod or a sode or,
or a movie or anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, but still, we did the
seems like a while
G.I. Joe thing, but that was like kind
of
a spontaneity vibe thing. That was a little different.
Yeah, very quick and
didn't have the microphones out or anything. But actually, I was like, oh, we sound pretty good for like our headphones or whatever. It's like, why don't we just use those?
Yeah, it was cool. We wanted to do this because haven't done one in a while, and there's been some stuff going along. Like we've seen some movies, and you and I saw The Flash together.
Flash,
savior of the universe, but no, different Flash,
savior of the multiverse.
Yeah, savior of the multiverse. And we were going to go all the way back sort of to Guardians 3, which was May, but that's still summer movie season.
Well, it's definitely good to talk about because as you're listening to this, it's available to buy on digital.
To buy, yeah. Not, no announced date for Disney Plus yet, but that's actually an interesting thing I wanted to bring up. I just learned like an hour ago when I was looking at stuff to talk about, The Flash will be available July 18th, which is next week. It's only been out for like a month. Or even, I don't even know if it's so like they are just pushing that right to digital, whatever.
Well, we'll I think we'll get there if we start talking about The Flash. We'll get there.
Yeah, well, we will talk about The Flash. I think that's one of the things I
think money is a big thing to talk about with The Flash. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you want to talk money?
I think they want to recoup, and also like. I saw on digital, whatever, because I'm prone to buy one. I'm not going to name names, but I have a friend and you know him too. But anyways, they'll give me like their like, I forget what people call it. They have like some sort of a backup drive and they like they pirate stuff or whatever. And like sometimes they send me links to stuff and like they send me like a Guardians thing. And I was just like, I would so much rather pay the $20. Like, I know it's to Disney and they're like a huge company, but I would so much rather that than like download something on my Dropbox and like stream it to my TV from my laptop or something. You know what I mean? That's just too much work. I would rather pay the $20 and not do that work.
I know. I agree with you. I'm not a pirating guy. If anyone's listening out there, I don't pirate movies. Not that anyone's listening, but yeah, I mean,
but I wanted to say too, also just one quick thing. Guardians is $20. It probably has a bunch of digital extras, whatever, iTunes. That's where I get mine usually. But it's cool because now usually people have the thing where if like you buy it on one thing, it's like on all of your stuff. You could be like, I could watch like Infinity War on Amazon if I wanted to. But anyways, Guardians is $20. Or $19.99. The Flash pre-order $24.99. That's why I was like, are we gonna get there with The Flash? Like, why is it $5 more expensive for a lesser than movie?
Well, that's what I mean, let's talk money for a quick second here. Obviously, Guardians has more time in release, but it has made $357 million plus, give or take.
I'm glad you're the money man because I never think to look it up.
I like talking this stuff. The Flash has made $105 million. So like, even though, a lot less time in theaters, but also a lot less money. And so they are probably trying to recoup. I don't know what the budget for these movies, is.
Right. You can, isn't that on the same wherever you look at it?
You can probably find it out somewhere. But it's just, I don't know. But I mean, are they going to recoup it by people buying it on digital, whatever, or just people just going to wait? I assume it's going to go to HBO Max or whatever the hell it's called.
Right. Now. And that involves even like internally, like that involves like this is, I think, part of the writers' strike thing and why
Yeah,
the
that's
guy
true.
like got rid of Batgirl, and then like anytime you see, like I listened to some podcast that explained it. It was like anytime you see they're like, oh, we're not going to stream Gotham on Max app anymore, and you're like, why not? You own Batman and stuff. It's because if they,
Yeah.
the writers are getting screwed now, but if they played Gotham and all the shows that they wanted to have there and Batgirl and all the stuff they canceled, like it costs them money because they have to still pay like out to the
Right.
movie and the creators and stuff and the
That kind
writers
of
and whatnot.
yeah, that is what that is pretty much what the strike is about, and getting paid for these streaming rights and stuff like that. So
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's all
digital, whatever, like, and you know, plenty of people still buy these things like on Blu-ray in like 4K, like hard copy because they're like us with comic books they want, and they're like probably a
yeah.
lot of the Venn diagram is probably pretty big if somebody's really into comics and they like all superhero movies. Like I collect them on digital, whatever, but maybe a lot of people have everything on Blu-ray and the best one, and they always buy the newest one and stuff. And that adds up too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I used to do that, but then I kind of realized just how much point to it. I'd feel bad. I mean, of course, I want to support all these movies, but I'm not. I don't have the money to spend $25, you know, or whatever on a DVD or a Blu-ray
Right.
that I might watch once or twice in
And
my
it
life.
was,
You know,
well, you know, what if it's your absolute favorite
sure.
thing? You might.
I don't know. Even then, like I've become kind of a very digital guy in this respect. You're right. I still buy floppy comics, and I don't see myself not doing that. But that's I don't know. It's weird. Maybe I will.
And one thing I learned from you, I like used to do, I would buy all of the superhero things, but I would usually they go on sale at a certain point where they're like, you know, it's
Right.
$10 for Guardians 3 in like 8 months or something, or it's bundled with something else, and you're just like, all right, yeah, I'll pay the whatever. I'll basically get it at half off. Because you still like one thing, it took me a while. I like realized I missed a couple because a lot of them were streaming on Disney anyways. So I didn't
Right.
need to like buy them to watch them or whatever. You know what I mean? They were just available.
Exactly. Exactly. I want to go back really quick, by the way, when we were talking about the money, I should bring up even that 105 million for the Flash is domestic. Worldwide,
Right.
261 million plus. So, I mean, obviously, yeah, worldwide gross is where they make all the money on these movies. And let's just, by way of comparison, Guardians 3 worldwide gross $839 million, which is a ridiculous amount of money. And not necessarily for a Marvel movie, but I mean, lately they haven't really been setting the world on fire. And so good job for Guardians there. I like that movie. Do you want
And
to
how it flashed you?
Flash worldwide? 261.
And
So,
I'll give the Flash that it's like gonna probably make like it after these movies are not in theaters or something, like it's still gonna, it'll probably be the number 2 superhero movie of the summer. You know what I mean? Like it's still gonna do really well. Lots of people have
sure.
seen the movie.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what, yeah, like, I don't think we have much else. Oh, we should also, if you want to talk about Across the Spider-Verse, since that is also a
Yes. Oh well,
superhero movie.
that's got to be the top 3 regardless. I mean, I'd like to see the numbers at the end of the year or whatever, basically, to see if anything
Right.
else
Yeah. I
came.
mean, we're
Is
talking about it
Aquaman
now.
2 coming out this year, or Blue Beetle is, or something? I don't know.
Fucking idea about Aquaman too. Yeah. A Blue Beetle, we saw a poster, or I saw posters for it. I don't know when that's coming. I think it's this year, but I don't know anything about it. A release date. I see no trailers or anything, which is kind of surprising.
I've seen the trailer. The trailer's out.
Oh,
It looks pretty
hey,
fun, you know, like
all right.
it's just another kind of like, we get a lot of it now, and not that I'm complaining. It's just like teenager, you know, he's kind of like a Miles Morales, you know, but the Blue Beetle has like almost like an Iron Man like armor
Mm.
that's a like a space alien beetle that attaches to him. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. It's a weird thing.
Interesting.
They do that in DC a lot. They are like
Right.
very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over there.
Yeah, so Across the Spider-Verse, 642 million worldwide.
Wow.
So, but about the same domestic as Guardians, 357, with like a little less time. That they also this is Box Office Mojo. So this is about 5 weeks for Across the Spider-Verse. Guardians Volume 3 has 9 weeks. So a lot longer. So I guess when you consider that, Spider-Man has been like the king of the box office so far.
Well, good for fucking Miles and that whole crew.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fun movie, but a lot was going on there. I can't even. We could talk about it, but I.
Well, let's start at. Should we do Guardians, Flash, and then Spider-Verse? Let's see. We could just
and I
talk about our feelings.
Sure. Oh, our feelings. It's nice. And maybe if we have time, I might touch on Indiana Jones really quick. But,
you could tell me about that, and I could tell you about a couple things that I saw real quick that I could recommend.
All right. Very good. All right. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was no doubt. I like that this was the last one. You know what I mean? Like this is a trilogy. Now they're going to do they said Peter Quill will return, but they didn't, I don't know when or how or whatever.
And I wouldn't care if they did another Halloween special. I mean, holiday special, not Halloween.
Christmas. Yeah. Ooh, you can't say Christmas,
maybe Halloween special this year. Or something.
Maybe
they could do something cool like that. You know what I mean? They might get the team back together, or they might just be sick of it. I know.
I think that
Dave Bautista's pretty sick of it.
I think he said he was done. I'm pretty sure Zoe Saldana was okay with not getting painted green anymore.
Yeah, right.
Although she has to be blue for like 3 more Avatar movies or something like that. So whatever. But still, it's. I think the idea was like James Gunn was like, it's it. I'm doing 3. He did 3, and that's good. And that's what movies used to be, right? You know what I mean? Like trilogies was the thing back in the day, and this is now
right. Like we've had so many great ones, like we did Back to the Future and stuff. Like that's
right.
That's it.
Yeah,
and of course, like James Gunn is close to our heart. That he loves those movies too, and so he's bringing like a new generation, like their Back to the Future that they get to see like when it first comes out and stuff. Like he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and this was his last Marvel movie, at least for the foreseeable future. So I think he was
probably like forever.
You don't think they'll ever bring? Probably.
Not that they wouldn't. I don't know. Like you see like what, like nobody cares like who's putting out like Scorsese movies. I think it's Warner Brothers all the time, anyways. But it's like when he's like a Scorsese's age, who knows what it will be if he could be directing. Just any superhero movie then, if he still wants to do it.
Well, now he's like in charge of the DC extended universe.
And I'm on In James We Trust, guys. So in Gunn We Trust.
We'll get there. As long as he does another season of Peacemaker, I'm on board.
Oh, hell yeah.
I
think that the positive stuff about the new DC will be that it's just more like that, more like Guardians, more like Peacemaker, more like Suicide Squad, just more like cool, fun things, and colorful and bright, and not doom and gloom. That's what's great about Guardians, and it's so funny. The communicator thing, when it's like Peter's like, how was I supposed to remember that? Because each color like doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know. It's like, no, blue, means red or whatever. It was so stupid.
And it's like super like sci-fi, like Doctor Who almost too, because they're on like gross skin. Like it was gross. Like the surface of that prison planet or whatever was like
that weird planet they're on. Yeah.
But it was so cool. I was like, I get exactly what they're doing here. Because there's like a million things, I don't even know, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or like bad CGI where it's like, oh, I'm like standing on the back of a dog and it's just like, CGI like hairs or whatever. But that was
Eh,
really graphic and disgusting and hilarious. I loved it.
yeah. No, and it was a total James Gunn thing, and yeah, like the movie fit so well. So like, just really quick, like some of the to touch on some of the if you haven't seen it, which you probably have, I don't know, spoiler warning, but so Peter is sad. He's kind of because Gamora, even though she came back in Endgame, she's not the same Gamora. And she doesn't love him anymore. Like she has no knowledge of they ever had a relationship. She doesn't even really know who he is.
Yeah. And I was
So
actually just thinking about this a second ago. Like, I wonder if Zoe Saldana, like, maybe feels a little like bummed or as we would say, ripped off by like having to play like a whole other Gamora, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't get to everybody else gets to live there to their end of their story basically or onto a new chapter. And she has to like make a new like personality that's just only slightly different. But it
yeah,
definitely was different.
I wonder, I read, and who knows, this might just be internet bullshit, but like James Gunn didn't really know what was going to go on. He didn't know they were going to kill her off either. Like he kind of was surprised to find out what happened to Gamora in the end game or Infinity War and then end game. So yeah, it was
And
just
then
like
like was
he
that
kind
during
of
the
whoops.
point where he was fired from Marvel
It
too?
might have been. You
You
might
know
be
what I mean?
right.
So it's
Yeah,
like kind
I
of
don't
like
remember. Yeah, so
okay,
then
I'll
maybe they
come
were like,
back
"We
and
don't
patch
have
it
to
up.
tell this guy who cares." I don't know, but I think he had to just work with it, and I think he did a good job because, yeah, spoiler warning, like it's like the end of a TV series or something almost. You would have expected going in that they're going to end up together again, right? Peter and
Mm.
Gamora, and they did not.
I was reading the sort of the language like with the two actors. I was reading them really well, and I knew that they weren't. I could just tell. I was like,
Oh, good
yeah,
for you.
this should be like kind of. That's just because the performances are so over the top and they're so good, and the people like James Gunn's wife and
Yeah. Oh,
the red
Jennifer Holland
assist the red
is
assistant girl. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
mean, they're just beautiful, beautiful people. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, and we get Nathan Fillion,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah,
joking around. He's like, yeah, I got one of those too. There's one of those guys
yeah.
in every office. He's like, oh, and the other guy is like, all so sad. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining that they didn't end up together. I think it's great. They
Yeah,
played
it
against
was just really good,
the type.
good
Yeah,
writing, good acting, like hard
yeah.
to. I mean, I almost bought it just to watch it like last night. Like
It,
honestly, I might even buy it and watch it again this week.
I
Although I
guess,
could
yeah, it
just
is
maybe go to the
definitely.
movies to see it again.
Yeah, it's still out there. Maybe you can find like Bargain Tuesday or whatever. I definitely want to see it again. It is a fun movie, and so yeah, mostly about Rocket. Rocket was like the main focus of the story. They're all trying to bring him back because he gets injured early on by Adam Warlock, who is also kind of a fun little, Marvel
Yeah,
character that they
and all
brought
I
in.
could think of when I see that guy is that movie Meet the Millers. You seen that with
No, I've
Jason
never seen
Sudeikis?
it.
It was so. I mean, I don't. It might not. In 2013 when that came out, it was like totally like a new version of like National Lampoon's Vacation. It was so funny. It was hilarious, and like he's like the dumb kid in it, and he's so funny. So I can't take that guy seriously at all. But he's
Well,
cool. He was really good at it.
he's kind of dumb in this too. Like he's just kind
Yeah,
of like doing what his
that's
mom.
his type. Yeah, like that's the type that he
It's
plays.
so perfect. No, it's great. It's great. I like when they don't just like, oh, you expect this guy to be just like he was in the comic book, when then he's, when he's not, you're like, oh,
Yeah, he's
okay.
very serious in the comics.
Yeah, I know.
But this is where I do like the like even like I don't know, I'm not like a huge like Guardians head, but like the Abnett and Lanning stuff wasn't anything really like this stuff. And this world they built
Right.
up is so cool, and each movie did kind of better. Like I'm not even gonna say that Back to the Future 3 or 2 is better than the other one exactly, but like that's kind of the thing. He really built it up. Like I almost don't want to watch 1 and 2 because 3 is so good. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
well,
Like I
yeah.
it's like a weird. I mean, I want to watch them all again. They're great. But I was just like, this is like, I almost thought it was like a perfect superhero movie, especially
Yeah.
with the one that's in the Marvel, because Marvel has been kind of disappointing me with the solo movies, and this was really
Yeah.
good. And I
Lately,
don't even really
yeah.
like the Avengers move, the last 2 Avengers movies. I just kind of
I
don't care about them.
so
But
you
like, it's so weird. But like, it's strange to feel that way. But Guardians, I'm all in on. It's funny and
yeah.
it's campy, and James Gunn is hilarious. I don't know. So
Oh,
I
no,
can't say enough good
I
things.
I totally agree. Like, I think lately Marvel hasn't exactly been hitting it out of the park. Um, Ant-Man and the Wasp and whatever, some of these other ones
Yeah, like
since
Ant-Man
Endgame.
gets like a passing grade, like gets like a B. Like okay,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like
yeah,
pretty funny.
it was
How can you
fine,
not like
right.
Paul
It
Rudd?
was
You know what I mean? Like
right, right,
and
right.
and
But
Neil
not,
Hamburger. You know what I mean? Like yeah, of
yeah,
course. Like this is fun, but like
it's fine.
that definitely had. I will definitely like you know cut it some slack because some of the things we watched in the pandemic were like kind of fucked up because they were like shot weird. And this kind of had that vibe to it. Like they couldn't be in the same room or at the same time or something. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but I forgive that because we all went through it. Like it's okay. But like just like the quantum realm, like background, cheap CGI wasn't that great.
Yeah, I know, it wasn't great, and, the MODOK thing is apparently Bill Murray is supposed to be in it a lot more, and they had to cut some of his scenes. I feel like because he was sick or something like that? I don't know. Feel like there were some issues, whatever, but the point of the whole thing is Guardians, yeah, like, it was back to Marvel, like, the kind
Oh,
of Marvel movies that everybody likes, you
and
know?
then you get like a kind of like a really kind of deep cut for me, like a deep cut, like the High Evolutionary. Like I know who that
Oh,
is,
yeah.
kinda. But if you were to ask me before this movie came out, like, do you remember the High Evolutionary? I would like totally fake it while you ask me questions, and I'd be like, yeah, that guy,
Wait,
yep, that one issue, yep.
no,
I would,
you don't
I would
remember
totally fake it.
the Evolutionary War, like, crossover? It was one of those
Hey
summer
man, I'm an
annual,
Atlantis.
like
You
your
know
Atlantis Attack,
you know I'm an Atlantis attack stan.
your
So
beloved Atlantis Attacks. They did an Evolutionary War. It was whatever.
yeah,
I
I
don't
know I
remember much
saw that,
about
but I don't remember it at all. But I get
no,
that's a good thing about the apps. I can read it.
yeah, you can go read it if you want. The cool thing that so here's something I liked about Guardians 3, right? And I've said this to other people, and I don't know if I said it to you, but so a lot of these Marvel villains like Loki or some of these other guys, like they kind of become good guys. You know what I mean? Like, or they have some kind of story where they're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm doing this for this reason," or like
Adam
my
Warlock though. It's spoiler
yeah,
warning.
Adam
You know
War, but
I mean, I guess he's almost like not. He's not really a bad guy, even really when he's
no,
trying to
by the end
get.
he's
Well, even when he's getting trying to steal Rocket, like he's just like a big doofus, like goon. He's just
because he's
doing what
just
he's
doing what
told.
he's told. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
but
not really
like,
thinking for himself.
in even Love and Thunder, like what's his name? Christian Bale's character is kind of like, oh, he's okay at the end and whatever. Like
Oh my god,
Marvel
I keep
does a lot of
forgetting
this.
that movie even exists. It's
Yeah.
good, but it's like
Listen, yeah,
forgettable.
not it's definitely forgettable and no reason to really watch it again. But so the great thing of High Evolutionary is pretty despicable, right? He's a villain that you can really just root against. He's
Oh,
a
he's bad,
terrible
yeah.
guy experimenting on animals. Like
And that's the thing that's what we got, like a very, I think, James Gunn thing, but also like a League podcast thing. Like it's like comic books to show the origin story of a character. It's like an origin of Snake Eyes or origin of Wolverine. And like, I don't know what the Rocket origin is. I'm sure there's like
I
plenty of
right.
them. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's plenty of them. Honestly, there's probably a million of them. But I don't know it. And most people don't know it.
Yeah, I
And we're
didn't
like
know.
comic book people and we don't know it really. And
Yeah.
he told the most heart wrenching fucking
Oh, I
story
know.
that really, I did cry.
It
And I
was
was feeling
oh
emotionally fragile at the time anyways, so that didn't help. But
sure.
I was crying
That
in
was
that.
yeah, it's sad, and you
And I
really
kind
wanted
of,
you're
I
really
make,
rooting for Rocket at that point,
I will be honest, like, I totally I give it a pass. But if I like start to think about like, oh, they did like a heaven scene, yeah, it's
Right,
kind of like, but also I think sometimes people have been like, oh, it's not, maybe other like people that made movies or whatever, like, oh, he didn't really go to heaven, like he dreamt all
yeah,
that
it's
stuff, but
kind of in his head, yeah,
physically his body was patching itself up. So but this is kind of like a dream he had, or it was in heaven. I think it's not meant to be, you're not supposed to think
sure.
about it that much, but like,
Interpret it however you want, I think.
right, but
It's
that
very
was really
similar
made me cry. It was
it's
really sad.
it was very similar to the Deadpool 2. They did it a couple times in Deadpool 2, if you remember, where, like,
Right, but
he
he's a
wants to
psychopath.
die, and what's her name? The the beautiful woman who plays his girl forget her name now, but, she's like, "No, it's not time yet. You're not ready yet." Like, and she kept sending him back, and, like, that's pretty much what happened here too, I think, as I recall, but
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. It was a great story, and, like, according to James Gunn, he's
Morena Baccarat.
oh, thank you, yeah, Marina, back
Gotham TV show
bring back
Gotham's
yeah,
husband Ben McKenzie, Commissioner Gordon,
Firefly, she is great.
one of our
She's
favorites.
thing, yeah. So, but yeah, like, according to James Gunn, he's been basically telling the Rocket story all along, and, this was the one that it was really focused on, but every character got to do
Mm.
stuff. I mean, I like they were all great. Everybody had their moments. Nebula had her moments, even, like,
And
enough
back to, I'm sorry, but back to Rocket for just 1 second.
sure.
Both Bradley Cooper and Sean Gunn,
Yeah,
credit
Sean Gunn and
to both of them, and to all the Marvel CGI artists in it. I know it just sounds like a blowing smoke, but it was such a believable thing. You know what I mean? Like Bradley
yeah,
Cooper's voice, like having someone act it, someone that understand, like he's practically James Gunn, his brother is like, do
yeah,
this, it's so good.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah, Nebula gets to do a thing.
Yeah, she's like a legit, like, member of the team and everything. She's great. Um, Karen Gillan. Yeah, and of course Dave Bautista. We mentioned I think he was tired of the 8 hours of makeup time or whatever, but he
Yeah.
did great. He's funny, like it was fine. Like, he was great. And then even what's her name? Um what the heck's her name? The chick with the antenna,
Palm.
as he calls her. Yeah, Palm Pimenti. Uh yeah, I mean, everybody was great. It was, so
And it told it such a whole story. And, like even some people were, not me, but people were saying, people were complaining they didn't like this, like kind of teenager looking Groot with like a big, like bulky chest, and like, I mean, it
uh,
kind of looked like a Scotty Young kind of thing. But I liked that.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
I liked the design of teenage Groot, and I like that he's like still like he's a teenager. You know what I mean? Like they really carried that through, like showing him
Yeah, I mean,
grow back up.
you kind of would think that he would have just gone back to being regular Groot. He never did. He was always after the first movie, he was always different. He was baby, and then in Avengers, he was like a little older, but kind of like a grouchy, sort of like,
Like
young kid who always
yeah, like a
played on the
mopey teenager, like
yeah,
a
like yeah.
12-year-old
And
kid
he's
or
like,
something.
I am Groot. I love that bit. So yeah, like credit to them for changing every Groot was like different. Every movie he was in, he was a different character. He was
And
kind of
then
different.
there was like two things super dumb at the end of the movie that with Groot, but I just paid attention so much. It was so good. Like Groot says, I am Groot to the new Gamora, and she understands what he says. Like,
Yeah,
tell him, tell Rocket I'll be right there, or whatever she
yeah.
said. And also, like, he did that, like, "We are Groot" or whatever the fuck he said at the
Right.
end, where he
No, yeah, that
changed
was the
whatever
big
he said,
thing.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Aw." It was just really
Yeah,
sweet because
it
none
is.
of those things, like the heaven scene and some of these things with Groot, like, would I think they're, like, a little bit kinda too over the top, but I again, at the same time, I don't criticize the choice. I think it's, like, perfect. Just
Well,
have this exist like this. It's so good.
yeah, I mean, I think the thing of the movie is supposed to be sort of about family, right? And because Peter goes back to see his grandfather at the end, like Rocket is his family is our, the Guardians are his family, and Groot is, his family, and like, Gamora's family is actually now the Ravagers. So she's, you know what I mean? And when they
Yeah.
show her going back
They
and
were
they're
so
all
excited, yeah.
excited. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I think that's great. Everybody has their own little thing. And yeah, this then Rocket is kind of like forming his own Guardians now, and it's great. I mean, maybe they will do something with Rocket and Groot
And may I live in
down the road, but
even though those guys are off on a mission, like, they probably all still live in nowhere, right? With
well, yeah, I guess,
Nebula and the
except
kids and stuff?
Peter's on Earth, but yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know, yeah, maybe Dave Bautista did go back to, nowhere, who knows? But, yeah.
Now, let me ask you, I just thought of this. Do you think that Chris Pratt is too big of a star if they were to be like Star-Lord, the Disney Plus TV show?
No, I'm pretty sure that that's what they're gonna do. I
You
don't know.
think so?
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's that
He's
big
like
a
a big
star
movie star. Jurassic
because of
Park.
this. Oh, Jurassic.
I don't
Those
know.
mov
I think he's a big movie star. He's probably
I
one of
mean,
the
he's
top
not
paid
a
actors.
small movie star, but I don't think he's too big to do a Disney show. Like, I mean, Ewan McGregor did one. Samuel Jackson is doing one right now. No, we're
Mm,
what? He's not doing it
Please.
now. We're watching it right
No,
now.
he's not. Yeah, we're watching it. Yeah.
Are you not watching it? You're not
No,
watching it?
I'm watching it.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
Enough said.
Enough said. Yeah, as a wise man once said, enough said.
Enough said. All right. Well, let's leave it at that, and we should move on. We could talk about Guardians forever, but yeah, see
Yeah,
it
that
whenever.
was so
It's
great.
really
Like,
well done movie.
really one of the. It's got to be one of the best Marvel movies out there.
I
Like,
mean, it's the
it
best
just
one in a long time. I'll say
it's the
that.
best one in a long time for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. I don't know where it stands in the 30 whatever however many fucking movie.
I think you described it better. The best one in a long time.
Best
We
one in a long
deserved it.
But let's talk about as far as the DC extended universe, the best one, I think, by a lot, is The Flash, right? The best DC movie, in this era, not like Christopher Nolan,
Oh,
movies.
okay.
Since they started doing, these
Yeah, so
movies. Right.
this is considered. There's two ways you can look at it: the Snyderverse or the DC universe started by Zack Snyder. That
Right.
includes movies that have a very different tone, like Wonder Woman 84, Aquaman, but they are the same. That's the same Justice League.
Right.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
this Flash is in that Justice League, and this is his solo movie.
Right.
I'm very impressed that you would rank this like that this
Yeah.
is the best one. I know that you're gonna say, like, it's not much of a choice, but like it sounds like there's a twinge in there that you enjoyed it, and I actually
did.
don't. It's not my favorite of the DC one, but it's
I know
definitely
you
up
have
there.
a special place in your heart for Man of Steel, but
I have a special place in my heart for actually Joss Whedon's Justice League, because I saw it at the theater
Joss
like 8 times.
Whedon.
Yeah.
I don't think we can talk about him anymore.
Well,
actually.
I liked that movie so much that I kept going to the theater with
I
Movie Pass.
remember, like, what the heck are you doing?
It was just so fun. It was so fun. But this
whatever,
movie
you
was
like-
great.
This
Yeah.
movie is my
This
favorite.
one's right behind it. This one's right.
I mean, whatever. Everybody has their own reasons for liking movies.
Yeah, and Man of Steel. I really liked Man of Steel.
Sure.
Not many people like that at all. And we
I
get the
think-
Return of Zod. Oh yeah, no, a lot of people do like it.
A lot of
but
people do
some
like
people really hate it. But we get the Return of it calls back to Man of Steel. It's
Right.
almost a Man of Steel. It's a Man of Steel sequel as much as it's a Batman 89 kind of mini sequel. Great.
Yeah.
So
I
tell me what
mean,
you like about it, because I read a review and everything. So I would like to hear
sure.
what you had to say about it. So we
I
haven't
mean,
talked much.
I'm going to start off with Ezra Miller. Problematic doesn't even begin to describe the life of Ezra Miller, but they were great in this movie. Like two roles, essentially playing young Barry and
Hmm.
old. I don't want to call him older Barry or whatever, but Barry who
He's
is
very prime.
Barry Prime, right? Yeah, and
And you're right, they are so good in this. And
yeah,
even though, much like some of these little things I was saying about Guardians, like this isn't how I would do it. It's like he doesn't match with any sort of Flash in the comic books or any Flash that I know from any other property. But he's really good as this version of Barry Allen. And he's really good as this version of the Flash. I like super speed. It's probably like, if somebody would be like fly or super speed, it would take me a while to be like, maybe I might choose super speed. I love the power. So like, since I love the power, I actually do get like lost in it when I see it on screen on the TV
yeah.
or on in the movies. I love it. Quicksilver, all that. I love it. It's so fun. Um, the movie starts with like basically the Quicksilver Magneto scene,
Yeah,
except it's
exactly.
babies falling out of a building, which only makes sense if you see the movie. And he saves one of them by putting him into a microwave for a second, and it's
It's
just the most
all
bizarre
right.
and
So
weirdest thing.
yeah, it's I want to talk about that actually because I think that does a good job setting the tone for the rest of the movie, right? So Barry is like waiting in line for his coffee or whatever. I like he's got this thing that obviously Bruce Wayne gave him that says like, "Hey, your calories are low," because he burns a lot of calories when he's running around.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of like a like Spider-Man. Like when he first gets the suit
yeah,
when Tony gives him the suit and it has like all this extra stuff on it. Like that's not my Spider-Man, but so what? I don't care. Like that's actually
right.
cool. You get like a
No, I
cool
think it's
gadget
cool.
from a rich billionaire tech guy. It's
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
it's
Yeah,
great.
that's
And
like
so
he's
like,
got like
but
a
they're
little
like,
like like what do you call those? Like a Fitbit.
yeah,
But
it's
it's
almost
like
like
you
a
need to
Fitbit.
eat,
Yeah,
dude.
right. So, but he goes to, they're like, he gets a call from Alfred that's like, oh, go to Gotham's General Hospital and, help. And so he goes. And I love the fact because even though he's the Flash, he's the fastest guy in the world or whatever. And I don't know if Superman's faster, who knows? But like, he's not in a rush necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, to even though these babies are literally falling out, like, and he's standing there arguing with Alfred, he has the time. You know what I mean? Because he's so fast, he can run. He actually, the microwave that you talked about, he puts a burrito in there and starts heating it up, which I don't even know how that works because I don't think it's plugged
Oh,
in. But you know what I mean? Like,
it was something clever. Like he used the
oh,
Speed
that's right.
Force or something,
Yeah,
because he's always got these like lightning bolts zapping him off of him.
yeah. And he like eat while he actually before he saves the babies, he goes to like a vending machine, breaks open the vending machine and eats. Like it's like me with having a low blood sugar. It's like, well, I can't do anything until I
Oh
treat
yeah,
this.
that's when he's arguing with Alfred too, because he's down there
Yeah,
and he's like, there's like water and stuff all coming in behind him, like sidewalks collapsing, and he's just sitting
yeah.
there
And Alfred's
arguing
like, all I'm doing is
with
up there.
Alfred and eating.
Yeah, but he's like, he can't do anything. He can't save anybody until he has some food. It's crazy. But I love the fact that he's not in a hurry because you think, oh my God, these babies are going to die. But he's got the time because he's the Flash. And I kind of like the way that does set the tone for everything. He saves all the children. Obviously, then he goes and, Ben Affleck, Batman that's like a cool scene. He's chasing after the bad guys and Flash goes and whatever. And then Wonder Woman actually saves them both, which is fun. Didn't expect Gal Gadot
Yeah, I
uh,
didn't either.
cameo. And I love this scene though, because she saves him with the lasso of truth. Ben Affleck says, my ego is much too big to say thank you or something like that.
Now, there
Yeah.
was one criticism of that, which is that they already did do that joke in Justice League
Oh,
to
really? I mean, I
to
did.
Aquaman, like because Aquaman sits on the Batmobile in a plane that's flying across the sea, and he's sitting on it, and he just starts like spilling his guts. And then like Flash like looks down, and Batman looks down, and he's sitting on the lasso troop, and he just said like how insecure he was and all this stuff.
I don't remember that yet, but I mean, it's still funny. It still
It's a
works. It's still a good
funny
joke.
thing because like, yeah, you're just pulling a prank on your friends, you know.
Yeah. So, anyway, whatever. So yeah, anyway, Flash realizes through the course of events that he can travel through time because he uses the Speed Force. I don't know if we knew this anyway, but I guess we didn't. But like this whole thing with his dad, who is Peter from Office Space, Ron
Right.
Livingston, which is
Right.
I know
Is-
everybody was hoping to see someone from the TV show or something, but I love Ron Livingston.
No, because he visits his dad in Justice League.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
Billy Crudup.
Oh, no
And
shit.
Billy Crudup couldn't do it. My Zartan, your
I don't know what
your,
else he's done. Oh, God,
your Watchman guy, your
big but yeah,
Big
the
Blue.
the blue penis.
Dr. Manhattan. But anyways,
Dr.
it was him, and there's a funny joke, and you just gotta look it up on YouTube, which is like Flash goes to visit his dad in Justice League, and the guy behind him's like, hey, hurry up. And then Barry turns around and like draws like with like a Sharpie, like draws like glasses and a twiddly mustache on the guy's face, but he does it so fast that he didn't see it. But it's very credible. And anyways, he comes to it because of a scheduling thing. So they cast.
I see.
He was fine.
It's fine. No, I mean whatever.
It was kind of a harbinger of things to come, but we'll get there.
Yeah. But yeah, so like he gets sad. You know, his mom died, and like his father got blamed for it, and his father is in jail for this crime that he did not commit. So they're trying this thing with like footage from security footage at the store, like that proves that he was out buying tomatoes.
But it's scrambled, and Bruce Wayne has like the unscrambling AI tech or something, and that comes up later. But it's important to note that for the comic fans out there, if anybody's still listening, which they're not, this is kind of based on the Flashpoint storyline, which they've adapted in animation. There's different consequences, but it all goes back to the point that it only happened a few years ago in the comics, like New 52 style. This is how things are in this new DC universe or whatever. Is like Barry tries to go save his mom, who gets killed, and then they did it also on the TV show. And it's just like it's kind of like a trope now, like it's like a thing that's part of the Flash. It's like almost as important as his mom dying is that he goes back in time and fucks things up when he does.
It's like
in every iteration.
Now everything is time travel.
It's exactly. And now everything's Day of the Future Past with Barry. That's always going to be like that with him.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting because he takes this to Bruce Wayne, and he's like, "No, Barry, you're gonna fuck everything up," just like you said. And he's like, "Well, I can bring back your parents. I can bring back my mom. Everything will be great." And he's like, "No, you're gonna ruin. Everything will be like different and changed." And the butterfly effect. He tells her, and Barry's because Barry is.
I turned down. No, whatever. Let's just picture Ben Affleck. Improvising a fun joke on set. I need to pour one out here for Ben Affleck's Batman, and just shout out the fact that he appreciated coming back for this film. I think that they were like going to maybe do more stuff with Zach to do more stuff or whatever, and he did. He came back and he did the Snyder Cut reshoots, and like he was glad that this version of his Batman got kind of a good send off in this, where he was like kind of like not as like doom and gloom as he was in the other ones, and he just the fact that he himself was like happy to come back and do it, and then just be like, okay, that's it with that.
A little. I mean, do you know what? I mean, so we all know he was supposed to do a Batman movie. He was, a solo Batman movie, Ben Affleck starring in a Batman. He was going to direct it and star in it.
Yeah, and then he
And it
like
was
couldn't.
canceled.
Yeah, but he
What
didn't really
happened?
kind of want to do. Well, it's kind of a long story, but he was like before he's been back with J Lo and stuff. He was like going through another kind of like bout, like had to go to rehab or something. And he's just kind of like, oh,
Yeah, I
I don't
guess.
really feel that. It's not like it had anything to do with Batman, but he was just like, I don't think I could really do this project right now. And then they gave it to Matt
Wow.
Reeves.
Okay,
Reeves
well,
or Reeves. And then they put the money into making this new Batman.
all right. Well,
Uh,
I'm glad he did get to do something then. Yeah,
and I
you're right.
think
It was
maybe
a
I think that this you would consider like the Pattinson Batman actually to be a new universe or whatever. But I think that Matt Reeves and Affleck were maybe supposed to do a Batman movie together, and then then that the other guy just gets to take over and cast a new Batman
yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's he. I think so you mentioned when we went to see this that you weren't crazy about the Batman costume. Even though I thought it looked more like a Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns kind of Batman. I kind of liked it.
Yes,
I think it's got a
I
blue and gray kind of look instead of all black. I don't know.
I like the blue
Everyone
and
has their
gray.
favorite.
There was some sort of a thing I found offensive on the front of the cowl or on his chest or something that looked like dumb
And
armor that I've never seen
that's
before. And
definitely
that's
what it
the
was.
only
Yeah,
reason why I didn't like it.
it was armor. It was definitely he looked big and bulky, like he wouldn't even be able to move in that thing. But
Yeah.
still, I like the color scheme. I guess.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
like all
so
his bad suits.
yeah, cool. So all right, we got moving on. So Barry, of course, because he's young and stupid, goes back in time, even though you know Ben Affleck told him not to. Bruce Wayne said, "No, don't do that." He still did it. He's convinced um, that he can do this, and so he did it. And he's so through whatever like oh, it's kind of silly when you think about it. But I mean, like this is the butterfly effect. He actually puts the tomatoes in his mom's shopping cart, so his dad doesn't have to go out. I don't know how that really. I guess the person. Oh, because apparently the murderer, the person who murdered his mom, thought that no one was home, but since someone was home, like he didn't break in. I guess it's not really explained, but yeah, literally
No, like
something simple,
his dad would have been home, so
right?
the
So
guy like
nobody came in, right?
maybe would have broke in anyways and killed the both of them or and Barry, but
That would
something
have
happened.
maybe in some alternate universe, right?
I'm
But yeah,
sure.
in this one, the one that we are following right now, Barry, by putting the can of tomatoes in her shopping cart, she does not get murdered. And so the funny thing is, though, just as Bruce Wayne told him, like Bruce Wayne, this is a key point, I think, of the movie. Bruce says, "No, our pain is what makes us who we are," you know. And we learn when he meets young Barry in that timeline, he's an idiot because he's never had to deal with
As
anything
we would
because
say, soft. He's a little soft.
yes, he's
And my
and
dad
yeah,
would say
we
he's soft as a grape, which means that he's like
that's a good one.
stupid. But he's
Yeah,
like just kind of, he doesn't have that tragedy. Unfortunately,
exactly.
I don't
I'm
have
not
people that lose their moms in the kitchen.
no, obviously
And then
right.
famously, it's always been the story that his dad is like somehow framed for this, but his dad's innocent. And they're always trying to, like in the '90s show, in the new TV show, in the comics, like that's like part of the story. It's just like Batman's parents and the pearls.
Sure.
It's like always
Yeah.
his dad is framed. Everybody thinks he did it.
Right. And but yeah, like we should also put that while Flash was running through time, he does get sort of knocked out by this unknown assailant. And so like he is
Dun, dun,
stuck.
dun.
He gets stuck in first he's not stuck. Eventually he does because he does not it's a whole thing. They do a whole thing as Barry realizes, oh, today's the day I get my powers, or he brings his younger self to the lab. So he'll get struck by lightning, and somehow Barry Prime loses the Speed Force, and young idiot Barry gets it. And there's a kind of this is the part I get a little like I started to think the movie's getting a little slow, but like he's trying to teach him about running fast and whatever, and he's trying to teach him about phasing and all these things. And it's a little bit like, oh, we got to get the plot going, but it's okay. It's not a
Well,
huge
I
plot.
don't want to strongly disagree with you, but I mildly disagree with you because, well, number one, I know the powers, but also the thing that I wrote in my review for Stefan at Force the Geek was like, I picture this on the comic book page. I picture a Flash seeing this new other Barry, him having to teach him those powers. Like I can reverse engineer it to like it being an actual good comic book story, and I can imagine whatever flashes in my mind that I'm thinking of going through that, like an animated version of it or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, so he does have to, I feel like they have to put that in there. Like this guy's gonna
No,
teach him a
I
little
mean,
bit
you're
of
right.
stuff.
He has to learn, right? Yeah, like because otherwise,
And it's a
you
very
know,
comic book thing to like have an
yeah.
exact clone. And for some reason, this doesn't do don't think about it too much thing with the time travel. It's like it doesn't cause a paradox, or you know what I mean? Like they just have their own
Well,
rules. Everything has its own rules,
that's
right? So
yeah. Well, I want to get to that in a minute, but yeah. So we find out also that this is the same day that, like, through the course of their training, we find out this is the day that Zod attacks Earth from Man of Steel, but there is no Kal-El in this world to stop him, and so, but it was kind of interesting because we learned that the Flash was only because he had only been Flash for like a day or two. He's only able to save one kid while Zod is destroying most of like the city of Metropolis. I guess it's Metropolis, but
yeah, with the world engine.
yeah, the world engine thing. So yeah, like there is a guilt there, which now he's like, wait, now we can save more people. We can just stop Zod, or and his whole thing is like, this is the part that I know this is a minor kerfluffle, but like he's like, we got to get the Justice League, and he's Googling Cyborg, and he's trying to find Aquaman. We have a
Yeah,
weird,
that is also very from the comic book page
right.
thing.
I mean, I
I
get
thought
it. I
very
get it.
cool. I know. I
But
just I
like
love it. I
a
love
weird Tamora Morrison, like Boba Fett cameo playing this guy who is
that. Aquaman's
supposedly
dad,
Aquaman's dad, but he's
which
not in this
he
timeline because there's no
yeah,
Aquaman.
but he is in the Aquaman movie, if you ever saw it.
Oh, really? I never
Yeah,
did see it.
that's why it was like
Okay, I thought it was just
another one
random.
of that. No, it's one of the first, kind of cameos that they do in here.
Oh, cool, good for him. But like, why isn't your first call to Bruce Wayne? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they end up being like, okay, we got to find Bruce Wayne. Why isn't he? He's your
Maybe
buddy.
it's like A, Aquaman, B, Bruce.
Maybe, but they also got Cyborg before Bruce, which is a C. But anyway, so they finally figure out we got to go to Wayne Manor, but there hasn't been a Batman in a while, and we find out why. They go to Wayne Manor and they get beat up by this old guy who is Michael Keaton with a Gandalf beard.
Yeah. Well, a
looks-
stunt man.
Well, yeah,
to be
right.
clear,
It wasn't exact, but I mean,
it was very like. It was very much like, let's hide as much as we can in the costume on Michael Keaton's body double and go and dreadlocks and more beard and
that's fine. I
have zero problems with it.
Yeah.
Not like Nick Fury's beard though, let me tell you. Enough said.
I mean, yeah, like if we get to Indiana Jones, we can talk about like body doubles.
Oh, I can't. We'll get there. Yeah,
But
Flash is it's not too confusing, but this is the cool part that Batman is fucking in the movie, and it's so fun.
Right. This was the selling point of the movie. They showed him on the trailer. I love it. There's the trailer where he says, "Let's get nuts." I mean, it was great. It was a great thing. He's in it. He's not in it too much to take away from the Flash, but he's in it enough to make you excited. He's not in it too little that you're like, oh, that was just a lame cameo.
And whatever you want to say about the Flash, like maybe not a lot of people saw Justice League or Man of Steel, but a lot of people our age and around our age know Michael Keaton as Batman. So
yeah,
like whatever they did to get people to go to the theater just because of that, kudos. Fucking great
Whatever. Right.
choice.
No, I don't.
Great choice. Do it.
That's what marketing is all about, you know? So, yeah, but this is a cool part. So, like, when they finally get him to settle down and they're not fighting anymore, which is like just comic book staple, right? Anytime two superheroes are in the same room, they have to fight
Yep,
for a little
another
while.
great comic book trope, and I say that
Right.
in a positive way. Like every comic book trope in this movie made me love it more.
Yeah, I can see that. So anyway, but like Michael Keaton is making spaghetti, right? And he's explaining, and I love that he says, "So you probably saw our movie once, where you know a
You have an
person went
A
back in
timeline and a
time,
B timeline.
and he's
I think he
talking,
says that talking
yeah,
about Back to the Future,
he's
right?
obviously talking about Back to the Future.
Yeah,
It's because they
but
had
he's
already
talking
made,
about Eric Stoltz one.
yeah, the Eric Stoltz Back to the Future. So that was a funny thing, actually, but they brought it up many times. Eric Stoltz is Marty
But
McFly.
it's kind of like in Endgame when they're like, doing all the exposition about what kind of time travel movie is this? Is it like Back to the Future or whatever? You know what I
Right.
mean? They like list off a bunch of examples. Like, fine, please just do that. Like, and then pick
Well,
one and then tell us which way we're
I
going.
know, and that's kind of how time travel works, right? Now, like it's like which kind of time travel are you doing? And like this movie is completely different version of time travel. Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton explains it perfectly. He's like, it's not linear; it's a fulcrum. You can go back and forward, and like, but you don't necessarily. It's not. I think I forget what he calls it, like a causal loop or something like
Yeah,
that.
and it's not. And I just thought of this, and probably many people like wrote about this or whatever. But it's not dissimilar to the Flashpoint comic and everything, except for that the Flashpoint comic book Batman is not Michael Keaton Batman, it's Thomas Wayne. But
Right.
because of all of this same thing, because people are just different when you fucking go around and do this butterfly effect, you're messing everything up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So in
exactly.
the
It's
comic,
not
that's why it's
because
Thomas Wayne.
yeah, it's not just, "Oh, Barry's mom is alive." Like, everything is different because this is a
Everything.
completely different world, and I love the way they explained it because he takes his bowl of spaghetti and throws it down. It's like, "This is what you end up with when you travel through time." It's, like, all it's a bowl of spaghetti, like,
Yeah.
it's not a line. It's
And
like
then
we
you don't
say
even
in
have to
every other
really
movie.
understand that to just be like, oh, it's going to be a mess. Then
Exactly, exactly.
understand it at the very basic level, like, oh yeah, okay.
And that's exactly, like, how this movie handled it, and I'm actually I love that. I think it's great. Like, this is how time travel works. He just plops this big bowl of spaghetti down.
And as someone that's very I don't not, please don't take this the wrong way, it's a compliment. Someone that takes story seriously like yourself, to like these parts of this movie, it honestly brings me joy that
Oh,
you
well,
like this
good. No,
part of the
I thought
story
this
and
was
everything.
great. This was lovely. Like, this is a fun, different take because, like you said, we've seen time travel done 100 times, and they even listed them all off, like you said, in Endgame. And then, like, this is a completely different take on it, and so I'm glad because 'cause we've been seeing it for 40 years probably, and we'll see it again, but this was good. And it shows you, like you said, it's a mess. Barry did one thing, fucking can of tomatoes, and now everything is messed up. So, the whole point is, like, they wanna stop Zod, so, like, "Well, do you have a Superman?" And whatever. Then they do some Googling. This is a little iffy. I don't know why, like, ho but they find out that a Kryptonian crash landed on Earth and is being held captive in Russia. So this
Okay,
is
so
like a
I have two things to say about this. One is
alright.
that I knew that Supergirl was in this movie just as much as I knew that Michael Keaton Batman was in this movie.
Right. They
I
show
didn't know anything about whether or not, I didn't find out till after whether or not Man of Steel, Henry Cavill Superman was going to be in it, whatever. But when they said Russia, I was like, oh, Superman, Red Sun.
Red
They're going
Sun,
to go
yeah.
there and have it be Henry Cavill, be Red Sun. And I'm going to lose my mind.
That would have
But
been great.
what they did do was the fake out. And it's a version of Supergirl. Again, this Barry Ezra is not my Barry Allen. He's I knew Barry Allen, and you are not Barry Allen. He's not Barry Allen. This Supergirl, I'm more aligned with like the Helen Slater or the Melissa Benoist, like the TV, like a regular, like a regular Supergirl that has has the same uniform as Superman. But this Supergirl was great. She was very Krypton. She fits in with Zod and Michael Shannon, and as like a good actor and
Yeah.
everything. She didn't really have a shit ton to do, but anyways, I do
No.
want to say this one thing about Zod. So like, I watched this thing last night about all these great things that Michael Shannon has done. It's like an article, like a retrospective of his career.
Mhm.
They have these videos where I was in Boardwalk Empire, this or that. And he
Yeah.
talked about Man of Steel, and he was like, like I love doing it. Like Zach wanted me to do it, so I was like, yeah, cool. I remember Terrence Stamp. Like that guy was badass. I want to be a badass or whatever. So he did it and became really close with Zach. And I guess like they did like a bunch of like jock like everybody got really in real good shape and training and stuff for that. And then he was talking about the Flash movie later, and he's like, that I just basically I said I didn't want to do it unless I asked Zack Snyder if it was okay. And he's my buddy. And he said, yeah, by all means, just go do it. Who
That's good.
cares? And then, but also he was like, that wasn't like my movie. He's like, I just showed up and I did whatever they asked me to do.
Yeah,
And
like,
he was like, Man of Steel is like, he's like proud of the movie as like a piece of art. He's like a very serious guy. Like, oh, I loved working on that and blah, blah, blah. I loved being Zod. And then he's like, yeah, and then I fucking did the Flash basically to get paid or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they asked him and he's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. I mean, he didn't have a lot to do either. I do want to point out, Sasha Calley is Supergirl from Boston, Massachusetts. So I did not know
there
that.
you go.
Shout
out.
Our Zor-El, I guess. 276 episodes of The Young and the Restless. So
Wow.
How about that? Like you said, she didn't have a lot to do. She wasn't great. I'm not the best actress I've ever seen, but it's fine. Her take
on Supergirl, script wise, what she was given to do, right?
Right.
The script's take on Supergirl, not my fucking cup of tea.
Yeah, like, I agree.
I kind of want her to be the Girl Scout, like Superman's a big Boy Scout, like I want her to just be like, I want to help you. She was kind of like, fuck humans and fuck Zod.
And then
kick
all
his
of a
ass.
sudden, for no reason, she decides, okay, I'll help you. You know what I mean? Like and that was my only real criticism here.
But she was imprisoned in like a fucking dome
like
for forever. So,
but then when she saw her fellow Kryptonians beating people or killing people and whatever, she's like, okay, I'll help. So it wasn't no reason, but it was a little like it was quick.
I could have done with maybe they could have. I don't know why she had to be in it. I don't know. Like she could easily not have been in the movie and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just was an extra thing.
Yeah. Or they could have had a Superman. Or they could have, I mean, whatever. It does. I'm glad they did it. It was a nice change, but still.
From like the dude energy, there was just too many dudes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was a different
take.
I
agree with. I mean, I think there should be like a female superhero in the movie.
Sure. I'm all about representation, but her in particular, you're right. The script didn't give her a lot to work with.
And I'm sorry, but like much like the interpretations of the Flash in the stories, like they're kind of better on the TV shows, to be honest.
Well, they do make Barry out to be just a little too much of a dope sometimes, but that's okay. By this point, so
I did like the Frankenstein thing though. You know what I mean? Like this guy in Muschietti was like, just referencing all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I never saw it yet.
Good movie. But but anyways, he's just like, I'm just gonna do Frankenstein, but out of the Batcave. Wouldn't that be cool? And everyone's like, yeah, that would be cool. Just do it.
Sure. I mean, so that's how Barry Prime gets his powers back, because they basically just recreate the experiment and they douse him in chemicals and strike lightning, which is kind of a weird thing because usually it's kind of Back to the Future, right? Because a lightning bolt is supposed to be just this random thing. You never know where it's going to strike, but they're like,
Oh
we'll
yeah.
figure it out. He's got this little bat thing up there that I guess will draw the lightning. And there is a funny moment too where young Barry takes an old bat suit and paints it red,
Oh right. Yeah.
cuts off the ears basically, or the antenna, or whatever you want to call them, at horns, I suppose. Horns. And so that's really funny. Anyway, so they go to confront Zod and his minions. And I think this is a very fun scene. Like, because they're like, okay, Kara she can deal with, because she's strong. Like, meanwhile, the other guys will just have to take out everybody else. But and Barry Prime is trying to tell young Barry, this is how we're going to do it. They figure out how to shoot lightning out of their hands when they get charged up. Young Barry still hasn't figured out the whole charge.
And I think they do like some other classic Flash tricks, which is like you make a tornado and your enemy gets caught up in the tornado and flies away.
But the
Classics.
like you think that, okay, this is the big climax, but the good guys lose. Kara is killed by Zod. And Bruce, he's flying around in his wonderful toy, right? And he goes, I forget, it's not Nod. I forget what they call the big Kryptonian. And they kill Bruce because Bruce, he dies. And so the Barrys are like, oh shit. So they go back in time. And they're like, okay, let's try this again. And they tell
I think,
Bruce, okay, no,
yeah, and isn't basically at young Barry's like, well, no, we could just go back, and then
they go back
Barry
again.
Prime is kind of like, maybe we should stop doing this.
Because they go back and you'll go back, and every time Kara is killed, Bruce is killed, every time. And it's really funny because, not funny, but I mean, it's kind of cool because we learned that Zod actually, it's great because once he gets Kara's DNA after she's dead, then he can take over the world or whatever. It's a whole plot. So really just to add to the stakes,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we learn that there are touchstones moments, I think that's what they call them. There are certain moments that repeat in the bowl of spaghetti. And this is one of them. No matter what, this is it.
And
this
they
happened.
did do this. I keep talking about the TV show. They did do this in the Legends of Tomorrow. They were like, some things just can't change. We can change all the way we all are sitting in the room, but still when Uncle Chekhov takes that gun off the fucking thing, he's gonna shoot your aunt in the face. It'll still happen no matter what we do. It's always gonna happen.
It's like Final Destination, or what, remember those movies?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Not a great example, maybe, but I think it's a cool.
Points, yeah,
it works. Yeah, it works in this.
It gives the spaghetti a little bit of rules, because too many rules would be, or no rules. Neither of those make sense. It gives a little bit of a constraint. You know what I mean?
Right. So he realizes, well, first of all, young Barry's like, no, we have to keep trying. We have to keep trying. And Prime is like, no, there's only one way to stop all this. And that is to go back and my mom has to die and just restore everything. And in the end, then the Barrys are kind of fighting. And then we find really old Barry. And he's like, I've been doing this for 1,000 years or something, or he's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, he
and
just
all
keeps
old and
trying.
beat up, shitty. Is this
And he had gotten injured in his arm. A Kryptonian got a Kryptonian spear through him or something. And so the new young Dumbarry keeps trying to reset everything, and he's building up cruft on him. He looks like just he's like the Thing almost. He's just building up rocks every time he keeps going back.
Kryptonian debris lodged in his skin.
Yeah, and then he turns into like a really super bad guy, which in regular Flash world would be any one of a number of Flash villains. Reverse Flash, which is actually Barry, or
Right.
or a Savitar, who's actually Barry from a different time. You know, it's like
Oh, yeah.
they kind of they didn't call him Reverse Flash, and he's new for
I mean, I'm
this.
glad. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the concept is an old Flash thing, which this is a different take on it, which I was definitely way cool with, because I was like, oh, it's kind of like this or that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It
It's
was easy
great.
to recall that memory, and it has to have it be something new. But the thing that I did not like the most about the movie was this part of the movie where they had the bad CGI when they showed all the different
Okay,
parallel
yeah.
universes and stuff. I really disliked that part, and it took points away from my review of the movie. And I don't know how else you could have done it, but that was not the way.
Well, you didn't need to do it at all. It's just a fun moment because I think, spoiler warning, they really wanted to get Nicolas Cage Superman
Well, not
on
the
there,
okay,
right?
not the
I mean, I think
cameos.
that's
Before the
Oh,
cameos.
really?
Okay, so
Yeah.
before, but we'll
Eh.
talk about the cameos.
All right.
The like showing all these different birthday parties and like all
Oh,
the
I see,
actor,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those scenes where it's like where they relived everything and like had like infinite versions. And then the cameos, all those things, they were CGI or whatever. That actually didn't bother me.
course.
Those weren't as
It
bad.
didn't bother me because I didn't know it was coming, and like they have Christopher Reeve in there and Nicolas Cage and whatever.
And Helen Slater. But
fucking
that was weird
Superman.
about Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater was like they made like that was animated when they could have just used film or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it was
It
weird.
looked a little weird. I mean, whatever. It's fine, but it's kind of like
fine.
they're all kind of like they're like looking at Barry and they're like, well, so whatever. It was fun. It was a fun moment, but I mean, unnecessary to tell the story that they were telling, but it was fine.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, all good there. Boom, boom.
Sure.
Yeah, this ends the movie, and then they go. Barry goes to the courthouse.
Well, yeah, I know he has a nice moment though. Like, even though it's
with his mom,
ridiculous, he goes to the supermarket and takes the tomatoes back out. All this fucking shit about tomatoes, but it was funny. But he has a nice moment with his mom, and I'm sure, like it did kind of bring a tear to my eye. Of course, my own mom and yours as well. Thinking this movie about.
Oh yeah, if you could, like if I'm going to not use my name or your name, but if Bruce Wayne had the opportunity to go back in time and see his mom one more time, it would really choke him up, I bet.
I'm sure. So yeah, like it is a sad moment, and like his mom is so nice. They did
by Ezra
job.
and the actress that plays his mom.
They did a really good job.
That was nice and touching.
Mom, she was like the sweetest woman in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he realizes like this is a thing. This has to happen. He's like, I'm sorry, and he just kind of whispers like, I love you. And then he goes to the courthouse because he apparently moved some cans of tomatoes. Now his dad has looked up to get the one he wants, and you can clearly see his face on the digital, digitally, whatever, the footage that Bruce Wayne fixed. And so now his dad is released. He's innocent. Yeah.
Yay.
And then he leaves the courthouse. He gets a date with Iris. We never mentioned Iris West yet, but she was in there.
She's always the least interesting thing about the Flash. Moving on. There was a whole thing with his like little side friends and Eric Stoltz or whatever. Like,
all this
that
stuff.
is. I mean, maybe there was too much time spent in that. I agree, but like the training of the other Barry, all the Barry stuff. I could take or leave a lot of the supporting actors in this thing, except for his mom and stuff,
Yeah, those two coworkers were pointless and stupid and whatever. But yeah, Iris is also a completely unnecessary character in this movie, but he's all like awkward and goofy, and he gets a date with
You're supposed to believe that there's any chemistry between these two people at all. It's just like. It's like they're not very mad. They should have maybe gone out to lunch or something before they shot the movie, for Christ's sakes.
I know. There is no chemistry between them. It's terrible.
It's like negative chemistry.
I know. You think for 1 second that they would ever date. It's whatever. Anyway, but he he calls Bruce Wayne, and you hear Bruce Wayne's voice over the phone. He's like, "Yeah, thank you. Their footage did it. My dad." He's like, "Oh, great." And he's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm pulling up now." He's like, "Great." He hangs up the phone. Bruce Wayne gets out of his car, and it's George Clooney.
Fucking awesome, dude.
I mean, that was awesome. That was great.
And a
What
true
you talk about
surprise.
getting Michael Shannon. I mean, like they called up George Clooney and said, "Hey, can you just get out of your car?" Like, I
Well,
mean,
not only that, but they even shot footage with Henry Cavill and decided not to use it. It's like
really?
they shot like there was many, many more cameos all shot, and then they picked the ones that they picked
Wow,
for whatever
that's
reason.
interesting.
And yeah, it's weird that Henry Cavill's on it, but they also did a
Huh.
Superman cameo in Shazam where it was like a guy in shadow and you couldn't see his face. It was so funny.
Well, yeah, like I mean, Henry Cavill is done, right? Like he is not. I think
Yeah, but
he's
but he shot Superman footage for this.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, but for whatever reason, but again, and we were fortunate enough to see like a premiere night because I was
right.
writing a review and I was on kind of a media blackout. And but well, we got so Clooney was a genuine surprise.
That was, I mean, out of left field. No,
And
like,
then it goes, okay, so we're still like shit's still fucked up. Like
well,
I don't
that's
even
what I mean.
yeah.
And that's really funny too, because he like Bruce Wayne gets out. He says, "Who the fuck are you?" Barry says, and he's
But
it is a
but
really
Aquaman
funny
is the
moment.
same because he did the post credit scene where
I
they're
know there's
coming
a
out of
post
Dick
credit scene with
Grayson's
Aquaman
nightclub or
where
bar.
yeah, and
And
he's
it was
drunk.
totally dumb. Jason Momoa like being drunk
Yeah,
and splashing around in a puddle and
right.
like
I know
kind of
it's like
stupid, but yeah, it was still
it was kind
cute.
of stupid. It went on a little long, but it was fine. It's just a dumb post credits scene that makes no sense. But it is kind of funny. So yeah, like if you said that I want to quote you directly if you're okay, but you're like, this is the
Please.
final nail in the dick of the Snyderverse.
Yeah, it
And I
really
said,
kind
well,
of
wait a
is.
minute. How can they just leave this like this? Like his universe is different. His Bruce Wayne is different. That he's not Ben Affleck anymore. Like what?
They
Like how?
can leave it because then they just say, well, whatever, like Batman, I mean, sorry, Aquaman, which is coming out, is still Aquaman might be in this Flash universe, or it could be in the
Right.
Zack Snyder universe. I guess we don't know, but it won't matter because those will be
It won't
over.
matter.
James Gunn is starting over.
Yeah.
And also, there's already a Batman movie out with a sequel coming out
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with James Gunn's thing. There's a Joker 2 coming out, has nothing to do with anything. So
Yeah.
that's just how they roll over there.
No,
But
you're
this
right.
is
And
like
I'm not
it.
gonna nitpick. I just think it's hilarious that they're gonna kind of leave this dangling, but it doesn't matter.
But it kind of
I mean, they're not gonna do another movie with. I doubt George Clooney's gonna play Batman again. But
no, but also imagine if this was the end of a 5-issue limited series, and you looked at it, and in the comic, the Batman that gets out is the Dick Grayson Batman. You'd be like, whoa.
yeah, and I'd want to buy more issues.
Yeah, but they can also just leave it and just be like, that was Elseworld. That's it.
That was right. If that's what they could have. That's how you can handle it. Yeah, and just be like, oh, this is different now. But I mean, good for George Clooney. That movie that he was in, the one Batman and Robin, is one of the worst movies ever made. And like, I think he kind of has a sense of humor about it. And he's like, sure, I'll just come back and be Batman again.
Yeah, why? Like Frank, Michael did it. We chatted about it,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I texted him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they
Like,
probably all talked about it. Like, yeah, I'll be Batman. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. I'll do it. I mean, I guess they probably couldn't get Val Kilmer because the guy can barely talk.
right.
But it was great. George Clooney looked great. It was perfect. It was a great way to end the movie, other than the post credit sequence.
It's like,
yeah, it kind of was. It was like, that's all, folks. Like it was just like it reminded me of I think I said this. Like, do you remember the Simpsons episode where Homer kept traveling through time and like he comes back and like his family has tongues, like long.
Oh yeah.
Like, is their tongues? And he's like, yeah, close enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like, oh, you're a handsome man. You're Bruce Wayne. It's fine. Good enough.
But-
You know what I mean?
A natural thing to talk about though is that this guy is going to direct the first in universe James Gunn
Oh,
Batman
all
movie.
right.
It scored him that.
Okay.
So I think I think this is great. I think that is great. I think that whoever they get to play Batman, in a new thing, kind of be a little bit more bright. I think maybe it'll be Dick Grayson. Who the fuck knows? But I think
That would be
in
interesting.
Gunn we trust.
Um, well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll have to see what James Gunn does. Yeah. And what he's going to be doing. So,
I'm glad that you liked this movie
I
as
like,
much as you did.
I, I mean,
Thanks to you.
I didn't know what to think. Like you said, I haven't liked any of the DC movies.
Yeah, and I'm glad.
So,
Honestly, I truly mean this because even if it's not my personal favorite, it's definitely in the top 2 or 3. And I'm glad I got to see this one with you because this one's the one you would most likely like. It's
yeah.
it's like pretty awesome to sit that with you.
Well, thank you
And
for inviting me to your
no, it's great
special
because
stream.
we fidgeted inside through Batman and versus Superman, or did we leave? I forget. I think we left.
No, I stuck it out. But
Definitely
boy, that was
that's
hard. That was
yeah.
really hard.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe I made it up to you in a way.
No, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, very good.
Spider-Verse, other multiverses.
Sure, let's start with Spider. Yeah, Spider-Verse, fun movie. I like the first one a little better, but that's okay. Across the
Yeah.
Spider-Verse, fun movie. I like Spider-Gwen in these movies. I've never read a Spider-Gwen comic, I must confess. I don't know anything about her comic book
don't really
role,
know
but I think
much.
she's great in these movies. And Miles is great. Like he's a great character. I guess it's kind of like with some of these other things. You root for him. You're like, yeah, he's fun. He's a dumb kid. He feels a
Yeah.
little slighted because there's this society of Spider-Man that he's not invited in.
Yeah, which is totally a Parker problem kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, right.
oh man, all right, these guys get to do whatever. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's also like, I like, Miles is his own guy, but like anything like kind of Peter Parker about, like, I feel like Peter being like a science nerd is like the same thing as like Miles being like an artist. He's like always drawing in his, coming up
Yeah.
with new costume ideas and shit. You know what I mean? Miles is
Yeah.
a cool dude.
And we have, of course, Spider-Man 2099, which is a fun little thing. Like, I mean, I remember that. I remember I had that
Oh
comic
yeah.
book.
Oh
I
yeah.
long since sold it, but I should have kept it because
There's a lot of
more now.
Spider-Man in this, like the
Yeah.
punk Spider Punk and
Yeah, right. Like some of these, it's fun. It's very fun. But there's so much going on in this movie. I don't even know. Like seeing it again, you still won't. I like to see it many times to pick everything out. I don't think I have the patience for that. But like,
I think that this movie and the last one too, I kind of liked. I think the story was a little bit more straightforward in the first one.
100%. Yeah.
And like, yeah, I just kind of, I get really lost in the art, and I'm just like, wait, what's going on in the story?
Sure,
I
it
don't
looks
know.
great,
Like,
right?
it's
But if you
fucking
try to
fun.
follow along, you're just kind of like, well, I don't remember. I don't know.
And then you go, oh, that guy's a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like when you're like watching TV and you're like half paying attention, like, who is that guy?
Yeah, right. I will say this. I guess in a way, this is good. So I saw it, in a theater with a lot of people, and I started to fidget and sigh a little bit because I'm like, the movie's 2.5 hours, and we haven't even gotten to the finale. Like
It's not even that long. Yeah.
When a
West
movie,
Street.
yeah, right. It's like West Street. You can tell when a movie's building towards the climax, and you're like, okay, so I should be out of here in about 15 or 20 minutes, right? I'm like, oh my god, this movie's so long, and we haven't even.
I kept staring at I was a clock stare or whatever they call it, like at work when you're like I'm just watching the clock.
I kind of was too.
I kept looking at my watch.
They pulled the to be continued thing, and there were a lot of people in my theater that like booed. And apparently, there's even a thing online that you can watch like a whatever, like an Instagram reel or something, or some guy just yelling out bullshit. Like this is like that to be continued flashes on the screen, and I was actually happy because I'm like, okay, they're not going to rush to the end.
Yeah.
Like there's another movie coming, and that's fine. Let's tackle this there.
You watch Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy on Max, right?
Yeah. I
So
love it.
this
I love that shit.
the comedian Ron Funches is like
Oh,
Tiger. He's a
Shark,
the
King
Sharkman,
Shark,
King
King
Shark. Yeah,
Shark. He's so
he's
good.
he's so funny. I saw like an Instagram clip of he was like I took a little bit of weed and then I went to see that new Spider-Man movie, and he's like, Marvel must be stopped. He goes, the end of the movie just have to be continued, and then he goes, he's like, you must be stopped. So like, see you again in 2.5 years. Like what's the point?
Yeah.
He was so
That's
bad.
basically, but I mean, it's kind of like we were talking about Back to the Future 2. Go back and listen to our Back to the Future 2, episode. That's kind of how that ends. You know what I mean? It ends, and you're like, oh shit, I better come back and see 3. And like this one, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, oh my god, that's just, all right. But like I said, I was cool with it because it's a great. And he kind of gets his team back together. We get
we get
Noir and Spider Ham
Nick
and whatever.
Miller, and who has like kind of like it's dumb to say this, but like when I was like really excited to get the Spider-Man and Mary Jane, I still have it in my comics, like the wedding issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
I still have that somewhere.
Then like later on, like Todd McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man, and like some of us were really into it. You know what I mean?
I was into Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
And then Eric Larson, all that. And so like that Spider-Man, I picture him the one that like kind of grew up like with us, and then became like the Nick Miller Spider-Man.
He's that's the Nick Miller.
Like that's that's us. Like that's if we were Spider-Man.
That's my Spider-Man. Yeah.
No, like if we were Spider-Man, we would be that guy, because like he's with Mary Jane. They finally are having a kid and stuff. You know what I mean? Which they do
he's got
in
the
comics.
kid strapped to him through like most of the movie. Like,
and she had that spider baby or whatever, like May in the future in an alternate timeline or something or whatever.
Right.
Like which they've done a million. I don't even know where that lives now, but
done a bunch of that stuff. Yeah.
They have done a bunch of that, but this cute little baby May like has cute spider powers, like, doing stuff. It's so fun.
Yeah, no, Nick Miller Spider-Man is like the highlight of these movies for sure. I can't say enough good things about how funny he is. He's not in this one enough. I'm gonna just come out and say that right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a fine movie. It's a fun movie, but I can always use more Nick Miller Spider-Man. He's such a fun character because he's so. Yeah, you're right. That is us. That is. And he's grown up a little bit now, but he's not.
And kind of like how they did it in The Flash too, in a weird way. They had Donald Glover as what's the villain's name? I forget.
The Prowler. Yeah, the
Prowler. So they had like because in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, like he made an appearance. He has a little cameo in that, but they don't even ever say who he is.
But he has a cameo in the Tom Holland one too. He's in the Tom Holland.
Maybe I'm thinking of that.
I think you're thinking Tom Holland. Yeah,
but
I never saw the second Andrew Garfield one, but now it's on Disney Plus, so go check it.
No, it's got the Rhino in it.
Yeah, sure.
It's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's okay.
It's got Space too as Electro. Who what's his? Jamie Foxx. Who I love. I love Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
I will check it anyway. Go on.
It's not great, but you should watch it if you've never seen it. But anyways, I don't know. It's just the whole thing was just it was a delight, and to have
it was a delight, but
the cameos and stuff.
Not a mess. Just a lot was going on in that movie.
Yeah,
I didn't
that
try
was weird,
to.
though. Did you think it was weird to see like a live action thing in it?
No, I thought it was fine. I was cool with it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Because you get Spider-Punk, he's got like, Xerox copy. Like every frame was like different. It was really cool.
Totally.
And then they had like the kind of like Indian like the Superman and his dad and his family. Like that was cool.
Spider-Man, not Superman.
Oh, that's
yes.
You know what I'm talking about? In Mumbai,
I thought it was
town,
cool. Like
or New York,
Mumbai,
Hatton, or whatever it was called. It was funny.
All these other Spider-Men. It's that's That's fun. This is the world that they are in, and yeah. But like I couldn't go over the plot if you asked me like to explain what happens in the movie. I couldn't do
Yeah,
that.
I don't really know either. But it all has something. It's similar to Flashpoint in
It
the
actually
fact
is.
that
Yeah.
well, Jason Schwartzman as the Spot, who was really good in like Daredevil and
That's
Spider-Man in the recent years, like in the past like 10 or 15 years, if you were reading comics, they did some cool stuff with him.
yeah.
Like Mark Waid had him in Daredevil and stuff. But yeah, and then that was like cool, just animation, like the
Yeah.
Spot, reaching into himself and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's like the fixed point in time thing. Something about Miles' uncle stealing that spider. It happened right at the
Yeah.
time that the Spot was like working on something, and then it was like just a flashpoint, like fixed point in time that
Right.
something about him getting bit all at the same time, like was the cause of the Spot, and then blah blah blah. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. I like the Spot is funny. Like I'm glad they used him. I don't know why, because when I
And
first
Jason
started reading,
Schwartzman's like so
yeah, he's
hilarious.
hilarious in everything. Yeah, but when I first started reading Spider-Man comics in the 80s, like the mid 80s or early 80s, probably, or somewhere in there, the Spot was like just introduced. He was like one of the first villains I remember. I mean, I knew Green Goblin and all that, but like I was like, oh, who's this? They're introducing a new character, and his name is the Spot. That's funny. And I was a little kid,
Yeah,
so I didn't think about. But they kind of make fun of him a lot, and he's like, "You're my nemesis," and he's like, "You're not my nemesis." You know what I mean?
yeah.
It was kind
But
of fun,
as
but
it,
he is the nemesis. Like I like that, you know?
and it was a fun kind of thing in a way, almost like compared to like Roger Rabbit. Like you can only really do the Spot really well in animation. I mean, you could do it
Yeah,
well in comics, but in animation, it opens up a whole kind of
literally.
cool thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally. But
a
it
whole.
it
Yeah,
it, it, it like animation is perfect for that.
yeah. I agree. It was fun. I like that. I like their use of spots. So we'll have to see what happens whenever the next one comes out in
In
2
2 years,
years.
we'll
Like
be with
Robin
Rob
Punches
Bush.
says.
It's like so funny. I mean, I'll send it to you. It's so good. He was like,
Yeah.
"Well, what's
Yeah. I know a lot of people probably felt the same way. I, for one, was kind of relieved.
So
And I
you
know
like
that,
just by the time where they were showing like spoiler warning, the evil Miles or whatever,
yeah.
like I was like, okay, I get it. Okay, that's evil Miles, the fucking Spock beard. Can we get the fuck out of here now? I was ready to leave.
Exactly.
I
I
was
was
ready to
kind
leave.
of tired I wanted the movie to be over, and it was.
I
So
agree with you.
can't,
It's too
I
long.
can't, yeah, it was too long. I can't be mad at that they said to be continued. I know some people are like, what the fuck? But hey,
I'm not mad, but it
yeah, I'll
was
be
like
back. I'll go see the third one.
that. There's just a threshold an old man has sitting at the movie theater.
I
For
agree.
time, you're like thinking like, oh, it's gonna be late. I gotta brush my teeth and go to bed. You know what
Yeah,
I
they
mean?
need to bring back intermission or something. Every movie is
Yeah.
fucking so long. It's ridiculous.
Well,
But
you
I
should
mean,
tell me about Indiana Jones. Let's pivot over there.
little pivot over there. That also about 2 hours and 20. God, boy, here it's fine. Like it gets the end is not great, but if you are a fan of Indiana Jones movies, this is kind of how they all end, right? Like so, they're I was
Did
fine
you
with it.
jam
It's a
through the
fun
rest
movie.
of Jones before on your
Yeah,
own? Did you watch
I
the rest?
I mean I've seen the Last Crusade many many times, so I didn't have to revisit it. I did watch some of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I couldn't watch the whole thing. I was like, this movie stinks so bad. It is one of the worst movies of all time, no doubt. I've never seen anybody. I've never talked to
You just said
anyone.
that about Batman and Robin.
I know they're both right up there as the worst movies of all time. If you asked me to name top 5 worst movies of all time, it would both be in there.
Wow,
But
harsh.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is one of my least favorite movies. I'll just say.
Okay.
And I started to watch it just to kind of gear up for it. Like maybe it's better than I remember. I'm like, no, it stinks. It stinks from like the very beginning. But this one was better than that by far. I might even say it's better than Temple of Doom, which go back and listen
Really?
to our Temple of Doom episode if you want. But or not if you want, please do, and listen to it on Spotify for that matter. But um, it's fun. But I do have to say, like, I mean, Harrison Ford is 80 years old, and good on him. But like, I actually found myself, even though I know it's just a movie and he's fine, he's still alive and everything, I found myself worrying about him. You know what I mean? Like, be like,
Crusty Harrison
holy
Ford.
shit! Like this guy can't even like. He is so old. Yeah.
Were you like kind of glad Han Solo got killed in the J.J. Abrams
I
movies?
was. I actually was. In a way, I was, because like I'm him in. I know Force Awakens. People kind of go back and forth on that one. It was a decent movie, but he was the highlight, right? And I'm glad that we
Yeah.
don't have to see him get really old. Like, you know what I mean? Like rusty. Like he was old enough when he did that movie, and now he's just older and he's doing Indiana Jones. I'm just like, oh boy. And I know he's not doing, but there's a funny part because they show like a flashback when he's younger, and he's de-aged, but you can't de-age a guy's voice. He still sounds like this, even though he's supposed to be like in his 30s,
Right.
like
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's just funny. And I love Harrison Ford. Don't get me wrong. The guy is a treasure. He's been in some of my favorite movies.
Oh, hell
He's
yeah.
great. He's great.
He's great.
He's great. He's a funny guy. Like, like too, he's hilarious. So if you ever want to like see, he's on Conan. Go back and watch him on Conan or anything.
Yeah, that was like a recent thing. He's on
Yeah,
Conan,
he
right?
was on Conan's
I haven't
podcast
seen
and
it
everything
yet,
like
but
that. So yeah, right, but he is a funny guy. He's great. But I think he should please. And I think this is the last Indiana Jones movie ever. But they did some good stuff.
yeah, good.
But again, time travel is a big part of this movie.
What?
It's like,
Really?
yeah, it's a third one.
I thought this was supposed to be like realistic and stuff.
Well, that's the thing, right? With Indiana Jones, it's like there's always some artifact or something, and in the end, and he's just trying to get it for, because he's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I was going on and on and on about Indiana Jones.
No, well, you just said you're just talking about how you liked Harrison Ford, and you're glad he was still around.
Really? Was it that long ago? Oh, I said, oh, he's great. It's okay.
We'll make for a
well,
clean edit.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got all sidetracked there. My Skype just closed. But like I said, I had a week. My dad had been in the hospital and everything like that. So then when I saw that movie, it just made me. I was just like, okay, I don't have to think about anything and just relax and enjoy it.
That's
So
nice.
that's all I
That's
did.
nice.
It came along at the right time.
Good.
And yeah, the time
How's
travel.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
She did, actually. She's good. Yeah, I liked her. I never watched Fleabag.
Oh, okay.
That's her. Rachel said, yeah, that's pretty much who she is. So yeah, great. Yeah, that was my. I mean, I just talked for like 5 minutes about Indiana Jones movies, and then I wasn't being recorded. I'm not gonna say all that again, but
Well, I gotta tell you. Okay, I mean, are you glad it's sort of wrapped up?
yeah.
I kind of am because I've never really cared too much about it myself.
No, you didn't. But if you were a fan, then it's right along with all the other movies, except that he's a million years old, like a million.
But in a way, isn't like crusty James Bond Sean Connery kind of like a million years old when he's doing the movie with?
No, he is literally a few years older than Harrison Ford. He's playing his father. It's so funny. But that's it, that's it. Like I said, if you liked all the movies, if you like Indiana Jones,
and they do some time travel, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, they do some time travel.
That seems to me like a bridge too far.
Yeah, I think that's a big criticism of this movie, and I can definitely see that. But I mean, I think if you're, I don't know, the idea of Indiana Jones, right? Like first he's looking for the ark, then he's looking for the, these whatever these Sankara stones. He's looking for the Holy Grail. Like what else can we do? They did aliens in the fourth one, and that was a bridge too
Oh, really?
far. Yeah,
Yeesh.
it was stupid. So like
Aliens and then I'd
then
prefer the
time
time travel to the aliens, to be
right,
honest.
and this is better than that by far. So, but like I said, like, it's this is Indiana Jones, so like you gotta expect some level of ridiculousness. You know,
And it's like, is it kind of how I feel about, maybe it's the way I feel about like Batman and pizza. It's like I'm getting
right?
pizza.
Exactly.
There's
Hey,
no bad pizza as
I
far as I'm
agree.
getting
I, I
pizza.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well. Pizza. There's no bad pizza. I'll always. I mean, but no, but it's not really the case because, like I said, Crystal Skull is one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah,
But
that's pizza with like pineapple and ham
that's
on
pizza that's been run over. Yeah, pineapple and ham. All right,
it.
it's pizza
Oh
that
yeah,
like someone
okay.
fell on the couch. Whatever.
Pizza that like is probably fine, okay to eat, but a car did just run over the cardboard, but
Yeah,
you'd have to
yeah.
scrape it up.
I mean, whatever. I mean, like I said, like you kind of if they're going to introduce a thing in the beginning of the movie that can travel through time, obviously, like you said, Chekhov's time travel device, you can't not use it. But they did a cool thing, and I guess I'll just give away the ending. If you haven't seen it, you skip
Please.
ahead a few seconds, and you're not going to see it. So
I'll see it maybe.
they go
I don't know.
back.
Stacy want to watch it
All right. Well, I won't. If you don't want me to
on
tell you, I
Disney Plus.
won't.
No, you can spoil it. Go ahead.
He goes back in time to ancient Rome, and he says, and he's old and kind of beat up, and he says, "I want to stay." And he tells Phoebe Waller-Bridge, you go back." And she's like, "No, you have to come with me." He's like, "No, I don't. There's nothing for me there." Like he wants to see what ancient Rome is all about, And then she punches him in the face, and he wakes up back in present time. So, but that
That's
was
kind of
actually
funny.
pretty funny. Yeah, because like I thought, is this how they're gonna write off Indiana Jones? Like he's gonna live the rest of his life in BC, like ancient Rome. But he
Right.
didn't. And that was fun. That was a little gag there. And he ends up back with Marion and whatever, and it's a whole thing. So
Oh, there we go.
yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It was like I said, after like this whole business, my dad and all that, like it was
Yeah.
I liked it better probably having gone through all that. I was just like, I just
Yeah,
want to.
that's what these
Yeah.
things are for. Just like reading
Yeah.
comics as a kid. You're going to have
Yep.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
So,
had fun, brother.
I did.
Really.
I did. All right. So what else? Do you have anything else?
I did. Yeah, I saw like I've seen just like a couple of just general things. I'll just I don't have to talk about it for that long. Or like, but I don't know if you ever watched the that show on Hulu, The Bear.
Oh no, I've heard it's good though. Yeah.
Really good. Just started the second season. I think the first
Oh, yeah.
season is like better than the second one, but it's out now, so we're getting into that.
Mhm.
There was a new Superman animated show. It's short. It's like a half hour long. It's kind of
Oh.
like anime Superman, and I know it probably doesn't sound like that appealing, but it's really a fun, cool little Superman story, and it kind of it's Ken Farm stuff like when he's like a young kid, but it's also like he's an intern at the Daily Planet, and there's a Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, and it's just like it's fun, and it's kind of cool. It's like a pretty decent Superman. And then I saw I have a review coming out for Stefan for this movie called Chevalier. And it's like the theater that we go to,
like
right?
the club, yeah,
right?
theater, yeah.
And I thought like, oh, maybe it's like named after this guy who was like a contemporary of Mozart, like actually like lived with Mozart for a bit, like the first Black composer and violinist. And there's a movie that's kind of like a little bit like that movie Amadeus, if you've ever seen that. But it's about this guy, the Chevalier, who is not the same Chevalier that theater is named after.
Oh,
Come to find out. But I thought it was the whole time, and I was like, oh, this is so cool because this guy is obviously really awesome and cool. But But yeah. And then we watched the rest of Ted Lasso, which Ted Lasso was great. If you ever get around to it, somehow being able to watch it, really fun show. Jason Sudeikis is so funny, and yeah, that's just
All right.
stuff I've been watching. Have you been watching any good TV or anything?
I don't know, nothing great. I do want to bring this up. I don't know, I haven't watched this, but this is something I just heard about very recently. There's this thing. Kevin Smith had a screening of the Batman Forever Schumacher cut.
Oh
Have
yeah,
you
yeah.
heard about
I
this?
heard. I listened to Fat Man Fat Man
Oh,
Beyond. It's
okay.
called now, and it mentioned that they
Oh,
did
okay.
do like a fundraiser or something, and they screened it. Somebody has a cut of it. He has a cut. He has this cut, or his friend has a cut, and they screened it at
Interesting.
his Smog Castle
Right.
movie theater, and they said it's like a better movie. It's like extra stuff in it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 170 minutes, but I mean, I wonder if it will be available, digital whatever somewhere, maybe.
Who
Probably
knows?
eventually on Max, but
Well,
yeah,
it's like one of
we'll
those
see.
very bootleggy things. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I
It's
see.
not like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not
it's
like a
not like
finished.
a
Yeah.
version of Blade Runner, where there's like a
Right.
thousand different like director's cut extended. It's not like that. It's like kind of like yeah, they would probably have to sink money into it or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not an
Yeah.
official thing.
Interesting. I mean, Joel Schumacher is dead, I think, right?
That's
So I
right.
don't
So
think so.
they would
He's
have
not
to,
pushing for. He's
yeah,
not
you'd,
like trying.
yeah,
He doesn't care
yeah,
if it gets released.
yeah,
But
and
there's
then
an interesting
they'd
thing.
be up
Like
to his
nothing.
estate or something, I guess.
I hate to say this. I mean, I like a lot of Joel Schumacher's movies. I'm not criticizing him, but I mean, this is I don't know a lot of these things. And this is fine if Kevin Smith wants to do this fun little thing, fine. But and I would watch it if it came across my desk, so to speak. But I don't know. All these like this cut and that cut and Snyder cut and blah blah. Bring back this guy's cut and that cut. I don't want to
Yeah,
see it.
yeah, yeah. It's
The
kind of like
movie
the
is what it is.
fervor around it is like too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a
Now,
Feds
like
of
no
Donner cut
movies
is
ever.
something a little bit different. Like
Right.
sometimes or like some certain extended versions of Blade Runner are awesome to watch. Like I couldn't tell you which one. It would take me like a good 5 minutes to research that, but
Yeah.
like find the best one or
Right.
whatever.
Which one is the one?
And the Donner
There's
cut,
no
they honestly was a different cut of the movie. It's a different
right,
thing.
right, right. Yeah, no,
Um,
I get it. But even so, like, yeah, that's fine. And if
there
a
was one thing
director but
that I saw like a Fathom events for, which was like a Lost Deep Space Nine episode. It was like a weird thing, but they like made half of it, and then this movie was like basically like a documentary, and then like the scenes that they never got a chance to film, they like animated, and it was like actually
huh,
pretty cool. They told the whole story about how this or that happened or whatever, and how that like some of it was already out there, or like the story was so great, but they never ended up using it. So I don't mind when people do creative stuff like that.
no, I mean I don't either. But like now anytime a movie comes out that's like not what people expect, they're gonna be pushing for the whatever cut, like the director's cut.
Yeah,
Like this is the
exactly.
movie we got, I mean, I'm sorry to say,
And
but we
Hollywood
can't
and all entertainment is all just based on approvals. It's like, yeah,
right.
like
I mean,
Disney signed off on this or that.
every movie has, every script goes through rewrites. Every movie gets tweaked and changed, and it's
Talk
just the
about
way it is.
development hell. I mean, The Flash was like before Zack Snyder was even made Man of
Yeah.
Steel, they were going to make a Flash movie. And this is the weird thing about like these projects. And this particular movie seemed a little bit cursed, but thankfully not like to its detriment. The Flash,
Mm,
but like we have this problematic actor, which is a whole thing.
yeah.
That's a whole thing we're not even talking about. But like
Right.
they they like had like what it was maybe just gonna be Ben Affleck as the regular Batman in this before there was any Michael Keaton or anything, and things just
Right.
kept getting switched around and this or that. And Grant Morrison wrote a version of the script with
Oh,
Ezra
really?
Miller. and some of that stuff gets used, but it's based
Right.
on something that was written in 2009, and it's like, damn, like it's really a big mess. But
Yeah, it's just like time travel.
yeah, but anyways, I don't think they pulled it off perfectly, but I feel like they did a pretty damn good job.
I think so too. So, you know, all right. I mean, I think that's about all we got.
It is.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you did, and if you didn't, I wish you would. But yeah, go back and listen to some of our other episodes. We'll have some stuff coming soon. We're planning a new season of the Vampire Council. So that's very exciting, and we'll definitely get back to regular podcasting soon. It's just life, man.
This was a good, kind of a classic League episode. Instead of talking about comics, we talked about movies and TV shows and stuff.
Right.
And it was fun. And these were all good movies we talked about. It's like, I encourage people to see Indiana Jones, especially if you like Indiana Jones.
Sure.
As part of your life, like, why not wrap it up? He said it was better than the Crystal Skulls movie. So that's probably enough for a lot of people right there.
Exactly.
Because everybody shits on that movie.
I know, and with good reason. It sucks. So anyway, thank you.
We're telling people to listen to us on Spotify, right?
Yeah. They took over Anchor. We need to get our numbers up on Spotify just for a little while. So if you have Spotify, if you have an account, just check us out on there for just a little bit, and then you can go back to listen to it wherever you want. But as we know, Stitcher is going away soon, which we are all sad about. So
yeah, we're gonna lose listeners.
Yeah.
So migrate over to Spotify if you can have an account there. You actually don't even need an account. I think you can listen for free anyways.
Right. You can
listen.
You
don't need to pay them to listen to our podcast.
No.
You just need to have an account. And also, you could. I've done my best to integrate that with our website, LeaguePodcast.com. So if you can't figure out how to go to your app, but you can remember LeaguePodcast.com, you can definitely get there from there. From many
That's right.
ways.
That's very true. So thanks to you for doing that. Thanks to you for listening. And enjoy the warm weather.
I have one more thing, Dursin. I want to give a special shout out to our friend.
Okay.
Our friend Evan Borgo, who was on the Vampire Council more than once.
Yep.
He is moving to Japan to teach English.
I saw that.
And he's still, he does his No Borders, No Race podcast. And I want to give a shout out to Evan. Wish him safe travels. We'll see you when you come back. But best of luck to Evan out there. And, maybe we can podcast when you're in Japan. That would be fun.
That would be crazy. Across the ocean.
Yeah. But domo arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much for joining us. And also, Evan, thank you just for being a good supporter of the arts and have a great podcast. And you're listening to so much diverse music. You're an inspiration. So, Evan, safe travels, man.
Exactly. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming on. And safe travels. All right, Clay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
To you.
Thanks to you. Have a good one. Talk to you guys soon.
Lady flashes.
Mm-hmm.